Hey, it's Joker, and this is a review that I have long since not wanted to do, but I made a promise. So, before I get into it, I will say that unlike all the other reviews that I probably plan to do on the channel, as well as the few that I've done on the channel, this one won't have a happy note to it. So, apologies if it seems like I'm just bagging on this game, because I don't like it at all. And if parts of this video don't seem organised properly, I do apologise for that. But at the same time, I'm going to be putting effort into this video, but not as much as I would for the other games, because I want to get through this as fast as possible. So, Metal Gear Survive. The worst of all the Metal Gear Solids. I love most of Metal Gear Solids, and there's two I haven't played. I haven't played Portable Ops or I think it's another one of the PSP versions. There's another one I haven't played, and they're the only two I haven't played at all. I've attempted both the original Metal Gears, both Metal Gear and Metal Gear Solid Snake, and I've played through pretty much all the other games. Love the game series to death. Absolutely phenomenal series, and if you haven't played them yet, I highly recommend you playing them. Except for this one I'm about to talk about, because first off, this game is classed as canon, and I say that because there are events in it that link it to the main series, so unless some information has been dropped that specifically says it's not canon, then sadly this horrible train wreck is. But today, I'll go over a little bit of the story. I'll give you the kind of what the game's technically about, some of the things that are involved, and I will make some good points about the game, but not many in this case. So to start off, probably my first issue, it's not a big one, it's literally one of the tiny ones, but to load up the game you have to agree to 3 user agreements. Like, the whole read all this, and if you agree, click accept. Now normally, yeah sure, skip to the end, accept. There's 3 of them, just before you even start the game. Like, you load up the game, and that's one of the first things you see. I'm like, you already know that you're in for a horrible game when you're looking at that. Like, you're either looking at one of the best games or one of the worst games, and trust me, this is not one of the best. So, it had some good concepts. So pretty much the way the story goes is the events of the Metal Gear Survive end around the same time as where Metal Gear Solid like 5 Ground Zeroes, the prequel to Phantom Pain. Because they're technically the same game, just you had this short prequel game and then the big game. But for like there is a time gap between them, but still. But for Ground Zeroes, where it ends is your base is being sabotaged, it's going down, you're being attacked, and everything's going to shit in pretty much the shortest terms possible. Now, this is shown a bit about of it in Phantom Pain, because like you get to see some of the shit going on, and the Snake that you're playing as in Metal Gear Solid 5 is actually the soldier that accompanies Big Boss in the chopper as he's flying away from the destroyed mother base, and then goes through the surgery of getting himself fixed up to make him look like Snake, and then also hypnotizes him to make him think that he's Snake, so that way the real one can go into hiding. Now, so we see all that, and that's exactly that whole point of him leaving Mother Base. That's the point where Survive starts. Survive, again, you're another soldier, but you are actually one of the ones defending the Mother Base. And it's like, so far that's not too out there, like that's great. I don't have any issues with that one. One thing I will give it credit for is the character kind of like customization into gameplay aspect. Now, it's not crazy out there to the point where you can create absolutely any character, but it's got a lot of what you can do. You can change the eye colors individually, you can change them to quite a few spectrums. You have different ways you can customize the face, like size, shape. You can customize the hair, you've got face paint. You've got pretty, like, it's more than your standard, but it's not anything like as extensive as other games. But the graphic quality looks really nice. So overall, you would think that that's a good thing. Except for the fact that it gets drawn out by the rest of the game. Now, one thing that I did love about this game, because you've got, I think as I've been talking, you've probably got like the opening cutscenes, and some of the things I've been talking about would have been playing as I've been talking. But when it comes to when it comes to that customization I just mentioned, one thing that's really good and actually I like as a feature is whatever you make your character look like, they implement that into like a few things into the game straight after. Like there's a photo with you and a few other guys, I'm guessing, which is your old unit, and like whatever you made your face look like, it's in the photo. There's also when you still go back to the flashback cutscene you were in, and you've got your character standing there. He removes his mask, and he looks exactly like you put him or her. And yes, you can have a female soldier, if I remember correctly. I don't know the extent of how customizable her facial features and all that are, because I haven't actually tried to be a female character in that game. But I assume it's probably equal to the male, because the game's usually always 50-50 like that. Now, I do say, this is probably the only Metal Gear Solid game, I think, in all of them that you can play as a female, because most of the time you're playing as, either Snake, Big Boss, or Raiden. As far as I know, they're, from all the Metal Gear Solids I played, they're the only three you play as. You either play as Solid Snake himself, you play as the original Snake, Big Boss, or Raiden in a few games. I don't think there's any other characters main characters you actually play in any other games, unless there's a weird Metal Gear Solid I haven't played yet. But yeah, this one, is probably the first one where you actually get to play a female soldier, if I believe. So that's pretty cool. I'm glad that there's at least one that tried that. I wish it wasn't a train wreck, but here we are. So, getting on to the first point that I have an issue with. As I said, the story, pretty much Mother Base being destroyed. Now, that's, as I said, that's not where I have the issue. My issue lies of what happens next, where shit's going down, everything's going crazy, and then what happens is a wormhole opens up above Mother Base, and while that alone I'm not particularly like okay with, it's more the fact that Big Boss's chopper, the chopper he's leaving in, is still like right there. It probably is with like you can make an excuse that it's outside the vortex ability of the wormhole, so it's not being sucked in. However, it's still there, and no matter what, even the pilot would have gotten some type of shining on their window or whatever. Someone in that chopper was well within viewing distance and effect distance to the point where someone should have bloody seen it. Someone should have seen the giant wormhole open up in the sky. Yet it's not mentioned in any other game. And there's a good reason because of that. Because it's a load of shit. And we'll get to reason why it's even more of a load of shit in a moment. We'll put a pin in that. But I digress. Pretty much wormhole opens up. Your character in a whole bunch of debris, like a whole bunch of soldiers and a whole lot of that is getting sucked in. You grab on to try to save your life, but you end up getting you're also trying to rescue a guy, but you end up getting hit by a few of the boxes and debris, and it pretty much ends with you trying to save this guy, but he gets sucked through a wormhole, so does half your arm, but your arm gets severed. You fall down, you're pretty much dead. For now. Because the entire part of the beginning of the cutscene shows a guy going through the caskets. Apparently your casket's one he's looking for. And your arm's growing back, completely restored, because you have been infected with a parasite, son. Metal Gear Solid 5 joke. But yeah, you've been infected by a parasite, which isn't unusual. It's the nature of the parasite. Now, this is a unknown organism, so they're pretty much, you'll realize really quickly they're pretty much trying to relate as an alien parasite. But it's an unknown organism from a alternate dimension, and it's already sounding like a headache because, okay, Metal Gear Solid is definitely not in the realm of realistic. Like, you can make excuses for a lot of things, but not all of it. Like, the character element, you can't judge them on the same scale as this, because human individuals, there's a lot of ones that have freaky powers and stuff like that, so you can't really accept them. And for Metal Gear Solid, you have to treat their timeline as having technology not on the same timeline level as reality, but a little bit ahead. Like, they're nothing amazingly advanced until you get to, into the future when you have, Rising Revengeance, but at least you have some type of, it's close enough by, at least 10-ish years or so. So, they have giant robots in almost all the games, Metal Gear Solid, which we'll put a pin in that as well, because that's my biggest issue. But, there's Metal Gears in pretty much every game, and they're all pretty cool, and they're always usually close enough to their time period, like Metal Gear Rex, which was literally just a walking tank around the 1990s. I think it was 1997 that the Metal Gear Solid 1 took place, and then Metal Gear Solid 2, where you had 2002 2007. That's when Metal Gear Ray evolved. It was more like aquatic, but it was pretty much just still like a giant robot. The only extra advanced thing about it was not just it was able to go aquatic, but it had that laser in its mouth. So it's not extremely advanced, but it's a little bit there. But then you have this, and okay, I don't believe it, because you are explained by the main guy that they have their technology. Now, Metal Gear Survive is set in exactly 1975. That is where the exact year that Metal Gear Solid Ground Zero's events ended. So it's pretty much going off straight from there. So it's 1975, and they have the technology to predict, scan, and open wormholes. I'm sorry, but if you have that level of technology in 1975, then you've literally just fucked with the rest of your timeline, because that's far more advanced than anything, even all the way up to Metal Gear Solid 4. Like Metal Gear Solid 4, they are just getting into like android cyrobotics and like a few other techniques like that. But like hell, Metal Gear Solid 3 is like the first one, and it had like a mobile tank, sure. And then you had like Metal Gear Solid 1 with Rex and 2 with Ray. But like all of those came, except for Metal Gear Solid 3, all those came after these events, and none of them have technology that's even like remotely on the same level as being able to open, let alone predict wormholes. And I'm sorry, like that is beyond stupid. Like even by Metal Gear Solid standards, that's stupid. I don't know how else to just put that sentence. But it gets better, because as I've written down in my notes here, because I did play, as you've seen by the cutscenes, I did play a little bit of this game. They knew about these. The reason why they know about this is because apparently they had technology similar to this, but a little bit less, back in the 1968. Because during one of the wars in Vietnam, there was apparently a wormhole opened up at some point then, because the main enemies of the games are these things. They're pretty much crystal zombie things. Now I say things because they're just given the name Wanderers, which is your generic zombie name, and pretty much what happened. The idea of this game is when people are infected with these parasites, eventually they turn into these things where the top half of the head for some reason is gone, and now there's a big ass crystal sticking out of it. They can still see quite clearly, and they respond to sight and sound, but that's about it. Like they're pretty much zombies, extra tough zombies, but still. And the way to kill them is to break the crystals and stuff. But here's the thing: it's like these things apparently appeared back in Vietnam during that war period, and okay, sure. So they sent in their team to mop it up and made it look like one of those war, like mass murderings or whatever it is, and that's fine, sure. I'm pretty sure if there's recollections of crystal zombies back in that time, someone would have said something. This game's built on espionage, so I'm pretty sure someone would have loved to have known that little factoid. But I digress. Yeah, this parasite turns people into zombies. But if that wasn't enough, now they have this is still 1975, and they now have a device that can it's called a digger, and it can open up and I quote, it open up a port, like a wormhole, to send someone to an alternate dimension / like a distortion in space and time. So they can literally have a device that can rip open space and time to send you to an alternate dimension. Again, by Metal Gear Solid standards, that's stupid. So concept for Metal Gear Solid is survive. You're if you haven't gathered this by now, you are surviving in you're surviving an alien zombie apocalypse dimension where there's a whole bunch of crystallized zombies, very infected with alien parasites, in a alternate dimension / distortion in space and time. So a whole new dimension that you were sent there. You're also infected with said parasite, which gives you special little powers here and there. And there is also the fact that this place, while having bits and looking a lot like similar stuff to your world, is completely different, especially because there's giant clouds of dust everywhere that is horribly deadly to humans and will kill you very fast. And what you have to do is, your primary goals is that there is a team that was sent there way before you, because they've done this before. Your You have to go there and find the notes that that team had on how this parasite works. You need to see if you can rescue any of that team, and you need to somehow like gather some of that energy that's being created by the crystal zombies. So that's your pretty much 3 tasks while there. And don't get wrong, again, this game had some good features turned bad. It brought back the food and stamina, like the whole health and stamina system that Metal Gear Solid 3 had. And while, yes, in Metal Gear Solid 3 that was fun, managing it like was a new challenge, but if you weren't dumb and you knew exactly what you were doing, it was not that hard to manage. You made sure you ate when you were hungry. Some foods were poisonous, you had to avoid them. If you got the calamites, you literally just had a just freebie for just insta food. And yeah, if you didn't eat, your health would suffer from it, and your stamina would just get lower and lower until you couldn't sprint, or like you could just pass out. So like all that's great. In this game, it's a lot worse. Now, this is a trained soldier, and yet you can't, like if you run for like maybe 30 seconds to a minute, he's already worn out. Like his stamina is gone. And here's the thing, if you do that too many times, like every time you do that, you'll notice that when your stamina bar increases back to normal, it's not normal, because I don't know if it's after the very first time, but after a few times, you'll notice that your permanent stamina has now decreased. And see, it's like, okay, so that means that like probably after like 5 minutes of just sprinting and recharging, you could probably have like a nice big chunk removed out of your stamina bar. Fine, sure. But then you get to the food system where it sucks, because this is literally a pay-to-win game. Unless they've changed how some of that works within the time that I haven't been playing, because by God, I bought this game when it was pre-ordered because it was a Metal Gear Solid game. But by God, when I first played it, it was horrible. Pretty much what happened was you've got places where food and water will spawn. Now, in the early parts of the game, that sucks, because it's unless you have to go exploring, like opening up more maps, noticing where the food and water and all that stuff is, and you need to like kind of figure out where everything is, like where animals are that you can kill for food, where water is, and for starters, for the food, none of it's really overly filling to the point where you could end up killing like the 3 sheep that are right near the spawn area. Kill them, you eat them. Sure, but now that it could take them ages to respawn, and your food goes down a lot faster than their respawn rate. So you could end up needing to like being starving before they actually get back. And the distance between when you could find more food is bullshit. But if that wasn't bad enough, you need fresh water. When I played, I don't know if they've adjusted it, but when I played, the pot that you need a specific pot to boil water to make it fresh. That's quite a few missions. Like that was like 4 or 5 missions into the game, and by that time you've already drank in the freebie water that the game's given you, and you're now going to have to drink the water that's there because you don't have access to the pot. That doesn't sound like a bad idea, except disease and stuff like that is in the game. Like you can easily get sick by eating the wrong food or just drinking unfiltered water, which is like realistic, doesn't work when you've not given your player enough resources or ability to get the things, so that doesn't fucking happen. There is a crafting system in the game, which is okay, I guess, but still. And again, I want to iterate that there's pretty much 2 main factors, not 3, there's 2. There's 2 main things that I heavily hate about this game. And that's only because I'm a Metal Gear Solid fan. Most people don't, there's a lot of people that won't even care. Even in Metal Gear Solid fan standards, there's a lot of people that probably don't care about this. But I'm just going to mention them anyway. My first big issue is the fact that I understand people's hatred for that live action movie Doom now, because if anyone's remembered to watch that, the one with The Rock in it, it was an overly bad movie because it was easiest concept. Literally, guy with like the badass guy with a gun shooting the demons of hell on Mars. Not that hard to fuck up, right? Well, they did fuck that up because the entire movie, it was more just like zombified people and like 2 or 3 creatures, and even The Rock didn't count as a creature. He was just like The Rock with bad teeth and eyes, but whatever. Pretty much the entire movie, they pretty much speak it that this place is a reference to hell. They pretty much say this place is like hell. They're not fighting the demons of hell on Mars. It's a reference. It's a symbol, like that. It's not actually hell, but it just feels like it. Well, you get that message crammed down your throat in this game, because in this game, you have literally got that exact situation from the start. Like the guy talking about how this place, this dimension you're in is called Dite. You don't have a choice of being sent there because you got the parasite in you, but constantly it's referred to as hell. Like he says, "Welcome to hell." He does not shut up about calling it any. Like he makes several reference of hell, and the guy that you've been that kind of like lead you through this mission is called Good Luck, but he pretty much just crams like so many references about this place literally being hell to you, even though it's not. And to top it all off, there's this robot AI system with 2 voices that appears that is supposed to help you out, and it's called Virgil. Just to reiterate, that you're in hell. Yes, we get it after like the 19th fucking comment, because while I am annoyed that they're trying to make it a reference to hell, which you didn't need to do anyway, it's the more fact of like how hard they try to cram down your throat that this place is hell. This place is just hell. There's Virgil. There's monsters everywhere. This place is just pure hell. Yes, we get it. Shut up. Now, that's not my big and while that is an issue for me, my biggest issue comes from the thing I put a pin in before. This is a Metal Gear game. It's canon, as unless something's come out to make sure it seem like it's not canon. Where's the Metal Gear? In every Metal Gear that has existed, I haven't finished Metal Gear or Metal Gear 2, so I can't be sure, but I'm pretty sure they still have like a reference or so to Rex. But in every main series Metal Gear Solid, there is a Metal Gear. You have Metal Gear Solid 1 with the... I'll be posting pictures of all these. You have Metal Gear Solid 1 with Metal Gear Rex. You have Metal Gear Solid 2 with Metal Gear Ray. You have Metal Gear Solid 3 from the beginning, the first part of the timeline, and it has the Shagohod, which is close enough. It's literally a tank that can move in all terrains and shoot a nuke from all terrains. So it still counts. You've got Metal Gear Solid 4, it had one. You've got the giant ant thing from Vengeance. You've got the South Pod from Metal Gear Solid 5. Like, every Metal Gear Solid game has had a Metal Gear or some type of robotic thing. It's always been a part of the games. And there's none in Survive. There is, in a Metal Gear game, there's no Metal Gear at all. None of the bosses are Metal Gear. Which is strange, being that that's kind of the whole franchise's fucking stick. See, it aggravates me, but that's just because it's a pet peeve of mine. Because I'm like, the people that made this game are in the same category, or as I believe, as Halo 5. Because the people, like the team that worked on Halo 5, they openly came out and admitted that they had no idea what Halo was. They that's why it was so shit, and you didn't play really at all as Master Chief, because apparently none of them knew who Master Chief was, none of them knew anything about the Halo franchise, so they just winged it and just threw in this new character. I believe that's how this worked. Like, they knew, I believe whoever made Survive knew nothing of how the franchise worked, and just like, you know what, fuck it. Because this game was the only Metal Gear made without Kojima. The guy that literally made the games. The guy that technically created all the other Metal Gear Solids. He's not a part of this project because he ended up being booted out after Metal Gear Solid 5. There was an issue between him and Konami, so I don't know the exact details. I don't think he's allowed to go on comment saying exactly what happened, but most people know that whole story by now. And yeah, Metal Gear. I'm like, in this game, there are 4 bosses. 2 of them are post game, so that only leaves 2 bosses to fight in the main game. One of them's literally just a hulked out version of one of the crystal zombies. Right. And then the other one, which is beyond stupid that this is what I'm going to utter, it's a giant monster made of the dust that's highly toxic within this world. It's literally called the Dust King or something like that. There's pictures again of what I'm talking about. Every time I say something, it'll be showing on screen. But yeah, this dust thing is the boss, the big bad boss. And I'm like, could it not have been Metal Gear? Like that you could have like some secret evil guys in here that are connected to Skullface, and that you could have them secretly working on a Metal Gear in this alternate dimension, so that way it's outside. Like, you could have even like a prototype, if not the remastering version of the Southland Entropus in this dimension, and you have to destroy it or something like that. That would be cool. But no, we don't get that. And if you think the 2 bosses that come after the dust thing are going to be any better, no, they're these things. Ugly ass alien monsters. Like, that's literally it. You have these 2 alien things that are post-game bosses. You have to go to certain locations to find them and fight them. Right? Sure. Fine. No. I'm sorry, but no. Because honestly, that concept alone is just stupid. You have aliens, alternate dimensions, alien parasites, rips in space and time, special powers, crystal zombies. I'm like, the list of things that just sound stupid for a Metal Gear Solid game. And believe me, Metal Gear Solid does some stupid shit. Some of it's amazingly funny and some of it's just ridiculous. But this one game has so many things that makes the entire rest of the Metal Gear Solid franchise just look at it just like, I'm gonna say no. Because, well, I'm sorry, but this game is utterly stupid. There is not much else I could say about it. After I got past that initial tutorial where it tells you like, this is this, that's that, this is where the food is and all that, I stopped playing because from what I saw, nothing had changed. Hell, it was even more annoying. Like, how do I put this? The fight, when you're with fighting and all that, that's fine and all, but it's still stupid. The fact of like, from what I've seen, they haven't changed the stamina crappy system. It's still really broken, and it's still pay to win. And the reason why I say that is because you still have a system. One of the devices in your main base, if you can call it a base, is a machine that when you click on it, it will give you the option to buy from the online store like packs of like food, water, equipment, and etc. Now, it uses real currency. It legitimately uses real currency for that. So you literally, if you want to survive, if you want the exact name of the game, if you want to survive, it's pretty much a give them money type of game. This game is utterly horrible. And what makes it even worse is the fact that there's actually a very great concept hidden in this turd of a game. The multiplayer system. Now, there are games that have done it quite well now, especially like Get the Fuck Out, and there's a few games coming out like Aliens Fireteam that's going to be doing it. But this game had a really good concept where it was like you and a few other players online are put into a multiplayer map, and what happens is you are to fight over a like horde of I think like one time it's a horde of zombies like protecting the zone, and I think you've got other missions you can do, and like you've got the ability that like you can craft walls to put up, you've got different ammo you can use. It's like it's a really good kind of like setup there, and it's a really good idea. But again, it's pay to win to the point where if you want to be able to have the most fun, you need to give them a shit ton of money. Like that's a great zombie concept where it's like have a multiplayer game where it's like you have to defend the point, or like you have to go get to a point and like pick up some items, like get the fuck out. And but you've also got the ability that not only do you have your guns and you've got like the ability to change guns depending on what you have with you, but you can also like put down barricade walls and like reinforce some to make sure that zombies can't break them down instantly, and just like that cooperative play where you and a bunch of teammates are just like defending one location from this horde that's coming in. Like all that sounds cool. If you take out the microtransaction shit of this game, it could have been a not bad game. I'm not saying it's going to be a good game, but it wouldn't be a bad game. And ultimately, as I say, I've said this before to other friends, but when it comes to this game, if they take out the microtransactions and remove the Metal Gear Solid elements, and I'm not saying like the guns, the look or anything, I'm just saying remove it from being canon. To rip off the Metal Gear part of its name, pretty much call it something Survive, and like pretty much make it a zombie standalone game. Without the microtransactions, as a standalone, its own thing zombie game without being tied to the Metal Gear Solid franchise, it would have been very successful. It's got quite a few great ideas. Add a few more ideas and it'd be amazing. But it needs to drop the microtransactions. Like, there are games that do microtransactions well. Like, I don't know if you can call them microtransactions, but like games that allow you to buy stuff but doesn't stop you from playing the game is games like the Monster Hunter franchise, Monster Hunter Rise, amazing game. It allows you to have the fact of you have an online store where it's got layered armors for like to make yourself, the cat or the dog, look quite nice. You've got different skins for your owl. You've got dance emotes and like a whole bunch of other stuff, but none of it stops you from playing the game, and none of it is like top tier weaponry or top tier armor. So pretty much you can get everything that's good in the game just by playing the game. You don't have to pay for it. You only have to play for the cosmetic parts of the game that are just like extra. Like, you don't even need it. You could literally, if there's armor you like, there's layered armor crafting in the game. If there's like, and sometimes there's gimmick ones that come out, like like a little while ago there was one that allowed people to get leather pants if they really wanted to. There's like shades now and nerdy glasses and a few other things that are out which allow people just to have fun. And the customization of your character in that game is amazing. But like the only thing you have to pay for in that game is just some minor cosmetic things or just emotes stuff, just in case you want to have a bit of fun. And even then, they're not that much. But when you come to the point where it's like Survive, where just a point where you literally need to survive the game by paying them, then that's stupid. Especially because like, when I first played it, I had to give it a fair go. I played for quite a while, got through quite a few missions. I think it was like 1 or 2 missions before I got the pot, and I was still somewhat surviving. But I got to the point where my food and stamina were so low to the point where I would have just been caused in a death loop. Because I didn't have enough stamina or food or health to survive till when I got the pot. But if I didn't get the pot, I was going to die because the water was still unfiltered and my lack of food was killing me. So, overall, there was no way I could, quote unquote, survive. And that's what made me leave the game, because if I can't literally, unlike other games where when you die, you respawn, you're fine again. In this game, when you die, you go back to last save point. Which means that I'm now still stuck where I was a few moments ago. I'm just a little bit back. So, it's stupid, but there's not much I can do about that. And I suppose that's it. That's all I have to say about this game. I've kept it pretty tame overall. Like, I'm being a little bit more mature than I should be because this game thoroughly aggravates me. It's actually hurting and frustrating just to talk about this game. There's some people that might like it, and I have no judgment to you guys. If you like this game, or you play this game and end up liking it, or it looks interesting, all to you. I don't like. It's not my business to tell you what you should or should not play. And if you like it, then play it. Everyone has different tastes. I just personally think it's a heaping load of shit. Now, for those people that don't plan on playing it, or people that are curious on it, if you want to play it, go ahead. I just highly recommend you don't, because it's not worth the money. Like, even hell, most of the Metal Gear Solids, even when they're discounted, like, most of the older ones, they don't come cheap. I think, like, you're lucky if you can find one for, like, $20, or, I think it's usually pushed somewhere in the 50s or so. Metal Gear Solid 5, I think that every now and then I see it somewhat cheap, but most of the time it's still, like, in the 70s or 80s. This game, I'm not kidding, is probably the only Metal Gear Solid game I've seen where it has dropped all the way down to, like, I think $5 or $7 once. Hell, it was literally also in a deal where it was like, buy one get one free when I saw it in store once, and I'm like, I'm not buying that because guaranteed, like, you'll pick another game that's more expensive and then they'll make you pay for that one and get this one free, and even free is not worth it. It'd only worth it if you were getting a better game for free. But yeah, honestly, I highly recommend that if anyone is still even considering playing this game, don't get it, don't play it. It's not worth it at all. It is horrible. There are far better games. There are zombie games that are far better than this that you could be playing right now. There are, what do you call them? There are survival games in general that you could be playing better. There are Metal Gear Solid games that you could be playing. Every genre this game has, there are better games that you can play right now. And I highly suggest seeking them out instead of this. Because this game is just bad. Like, that's all I have to say. It is, it has so many great concepts thrown together with, like, an over-needed amount of just stupid shit. And, like, the story's not interesting. The character is bland, as usual. Unlike the Snakes or Ryan, where they've actually got an interesting history. This character is similar, I guess, to the Metal Gear Solid 5 Snake. That's the fake Snake, where the Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain Snake is only interesting because he thinks he's Snake. So you still have some type of connection to snakes. But Other than that, the character himself is kind of bland. But that's only because like he's literally just a fake character. And this is the same thing. The character in this game is bland. The story isn't really interesting. There's none of your favorite characters remotely in it, so like you don't get to see Ocelot really at all. You see Big Boss at the beginning of the game, and like that's it. You see none of Otacon. You see none of any other good characters. So while some characters in this look interesting, not worth it. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. I've rambled on with this for enough, so up to you guys to make your decision. For now, my friends, that's where I'm going to leave this review. There will be reviews of games coming up in the future, which will have a lot more excitement and be a proper review, like I did with the Digimon one, where it was like I'll mention the good, the bad, like some facts. And I'll make sure that I talk about them properly. But with this one, I'm sorry, but like even though I'm supposed to like make sure these reviews are like proper and organized and everything, this is about all I could muster for this one because I really just wanted to get over and done with. But for now, my friends, I shall leave it there. So make sure to hit the bell notification icon down below to be notified by any of our shenanigans that we post every weekend. Leave a like, leave a subscribe, check out the videos, and we shall see you in the next video. Thank you and goodbye.